Hello, welcome back. Welcome to everybody. Thank you very much for your attention. This is the third video of this series, which is dedicated to the description of my design, my project, which is a tube stereo receiver. In this video, I would like to show you the progress accomplished in the last couple of weeks. We have progress on several fronts, for example, on the Arduino logic, on the FM tuner, and on the power supply module. So, having said that, let's give a look at the current project progress. Thank you very much. This is the back of the tube stereo receiver. As you can see, we have the rear panel almost completed, I would say. Just some maybe finishing touches needed, but almost completed. And here you can see on your left and on your right the output plugs, which are, of course, for connecting the loudspeaker systems. We have the possibility to connect either 4 ohm or 8 ohm loudspeaker systems. Then we have the input section in the middle of the real panel. As you remember, the tube receiver has will have two main integrated signal sources. The first will be the FM tuner, and here you can see the plug for the FM antenna, which of course will feed the FM tuner. Then you can see here the Bluetooth antenna, which will feed the second signal source, which is the Bluetooth receiver. As you remember, I am deploying as well a digital to analog converter, which will be integrated into the chassis. So here you can see the plugs for the digital audio input, either coaxial here or fiber. You cannot see the fiber module because I'm still waiting for it for the moment. Then I have deployed an auxiliary additional analog input for connecting, for example, CD players with the analog output or other equipment which can provide analog output. Finally, we have the power section, which with of course the socket for the power cable and the relevant switch and the fuse. We have progress on the FM tuner as well. In the background, you might see the FM tuner we commented in the last video. Now we have here the new board, which is the stereo decoder. As you remember, the FM tuner, as we commented last videos, provides a monophonic audio signal here in this pin. This pin will be connected to the input of the new board, to the input of the stereo decoder. The new board will, as the name suggests, will decode the stereo information, thus providing the left and right audio signal as output. This is deployed, this is implemented by means of the TCA 4500 integrated circuit. As you can see here, I have the possibility, by means of this relay, I have the possibility to force the integrated circuit into monophonic mode. This can be useful in case the received station is too weak to guarantee the signal of the received station is too weak to guarantee an adequate signal to noise ratio in case of stereo. So in this case I can force into mono mode, and in this way I increase the signal to noise ratio and I decrease the noise. This relay will be driven by Arduino, and in order to utilize this feature, the user can act on a switch on the front panel. Here you can see the current development of the Arduino and display unit, I would say. As you can see, a second display appeared. In order to implement two displays, two separate displays, and of course show different information on each one of those, I had to implement a multiplexer, which you see here. I have developed this small shield for Arduino. Arduino is here, then this is my shield with the multiplexer on top. The reason is that each one of those two displays has the same I2C address. So in order to correctly address each one of them separately, I need to multiplex, to use a multiplex. And in this way, as you can see, I can show different information to each one of those. The display on the right will be used to show the selected source and also the level of the selected volume. In this moment you don't see the value because it's disconnected. This is just a test. And on the right you can see the relevant information relevant for the selected source. So if I select the tuner, on the left I will have all the information for the tuner. In this moment the tuner is powered down, so we cannot see the frequency because the prescaler and the local oscillator of the tuner are not working. So here, as you can see, we only see 10.7 minus 10.7 megahertz, which is the medium frequency, because this is the math applied by Arduino. So this is just a test. Again, the tuner is not power up, so I don't see real figures here. But just to show you, in this case, how the information will appear. Here I will have the signal strength, the received FM station signal strength. Here the information if the station is correctly tuned or not, and here the frequency of my received station. If I select another source, for example the digital to analog converter, I will show here I will show relevant information for the digital to analog converter, like for example sampling rate and so on. So on the left I will show particular information relevant for the selected source. As I mentioned before, we have progress on the power supply section as well. This section as a whole will be installed in vertical position, will be within the chassis. On your right you can see this power supply module. You have already seen that because this power supply module will feed Arduino. On your left you can see the new addition. This board will have three separate functions. The first function will be to generate the negative bias voltage for the power tubes. This is the first rectifier and filtering stages. There will be an additional board where I will be able to fine-tune the polarization voltage applied to the power tubes. Then this rectifier and these two capacitors are the first stages for the high voltage power supply module. This is not completed. There will be additional filtering stages, but this is the first stage. The voltage on the output of this stage is very high. It will be almost 500 volts if my simulations are correct. And then we have the first stage for the stabilizer for the preamplifier tube heaters. In order to have the maximum signal to noise ratio, I plan to feed the preamplifier tube heater with 6 volt or 12 volt stabilized voltage, and this is the very first stage for that. As I mentioned before, I will have the possibility to select, to fine-tune the negative bias applied to each power tube. And this is the board which can accomplish this goal. As you can see, we have four separate trimmers, one for each power tube. This board, this board will generate four different negative voltages. This board will be fed by the output of this stage I was describing before. So pretty exciting, I would say. As you see, everything is beginning to take shape. So more to follow soon. And thank you very much for your attention. See you soon. Bye. Cheers.